Let's talk about Nourish, this return and renewal in your cooking style.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's I've never been so excited about a book because I've created it from a place of being a mum, busy mum with 2 young boys, one of who's very fussy, and it came about as to, whoa, okay, this is actually quite hard cooking for these kids. How do I create food that's nourishing for them that they're going to eat, but that's easy to put together using everyday ingredients?
I think every mum loves to hear that you have fussy eating children because you're
yeah.
like, if I was a master chef, then my kids would be happy all the time. But even for someone who's prepared as many cookbooks as you have, you still have to overcome that.
Right? I was surprised. Like my ego was very dented, and I was like, okay, if I'm struggling, what on earth is everybody else doing out there? I need to create something, a resource that these parents can have on their kitchen bench and go, right, what's up for tonight? Like I know Nourish is going to deliver.
That is so exciting. And I'm relieved too because I have 2 completely different eaters in my household as well. My kids cannot agree on what we have for dinner. But you talk about Nourish being a little bit different and a return to hearty classics. So how is it different to your previous book, Tasty, which was a big hit?
Well, Tasty was a plant-based book. Actually, my last 2 books were, which is great. Absolutely loved that journey. But just feeling into my own body and, I felt a need to bring more balance back. So meat, eggs and dairy are back in Nourish. Reintroduced in a kind of more thoughtful, more balanced way.
What does that mean when you say thoughtful, though?
Well, just based on my own journey around it, like when I went plant-based, I became very aware of, how much it matters where you actually source your food from. Like in an ideal world, we'd all have a cow out in the backyard and a chicken laying eggs there.
Would we all have a cow?
Well, I mean, possibly not, but you know what I mean. We'd all know where our meat came from over there in the neighbour's paddock if you didn't want your own cow, and that's just not realistic. But, you can be discerning. And so I have become more discerning on just where I get my things and, where they've come from. How did they get to where they are onto the plate? So that's what I mean by more thoughtful around it.
Actually, coming back from spending 5 weeks over in Europe, I really appreciate how in New Zealand we're actually very much in touch with our resources and our approach to farming is quite different from the rest of the world. So we are very fortunate in many ways. And I want to ask you too, because you're talking about, back to basics and you're integrating meat, eggs and dairy. What's your favourite recipe from Nourish?
Oh, it is such a hard choice because, there are so many that I absolutely adore cooking in there that my kids love. Like the green curry is one that Sky will just eat and he absolutely loves. But I think the one that I love the most is because it goes back to my first book, At My Table, which had the chicken pie in it, which I always say was the chicken pie that made me famous.
Yeah.
And I brought out a more nourishing version of that called Chicken Pie 2.0. In Nourish, and it is still just as delicious. And honestly, I made it the other day and I was like, this is so good. I've outdone myself with this. So it's been a real evolution for me. So I'm still creating really delicious, comforting, classics that make people feel good. But now they are extra nourishing because there's that added layer of intent in there.
Can I ask what the secret ingredient is? Like what's made it a little bit different?
What makes it 2.0?
Yeah.
Well, the sauce, the creamy sauce, has got half a cauliflower blended into it and hemp seeds. Hemp seeds are the holy grail.
Your kids love it, so you've managed to disguise more vegetables into the food.
The kids love it.
Have you thought of a T-shirt line? It's just Chelsea Winter, hemp seeds are the holy grail? Like, would that be a good little slogan, do you think?
I have now. Yes. I'm going to get on that.
Get your merch online at chelseawinter.co.nz.
Well, it is kind of extra difficult though, right? Because we're also super aware of dietary needs these days and things that people can or can't eat. And so, how do you get around things like that? Gluten, dairy-free options and then still making it feel like it's this indulgent, kind of satisfying meal. Yeah.
Well, I had lots of practice to do that with my 2 plant-based books, how to make indulgent, comforting food using only plant-based ingredients. So obviously, I've used some dairy in here and all the recipes are refined sugar-free, but most recipes have gluten-free options and there is a gluten-free flour recipe in there as well that works really well for baking. And often there will be dairy and egg dairy-free options in there as well. So I've tried to make it as inclusive as possible for all dietary needs.
And I know that when I talked to you about Tasty last time, you talked about how it was real trial and error. So you went through the process of creating these recipes where sometimes they wouldn't quite work out, and you perfected the recipe so you know that people didn't have to go through the error side of things and waste ingredients so that they could get to this decadent result. And I'm so grateful that you've done that hard work for everyone. Also, I'm very grateful that at the back of the book, you've got quite a few handy resources. You've got some substitution ideas, but also you've got some recipes for home remedies.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, as being a mum now, I've just found a need for like home remedies you can make at home with food-based ingredients you've probably already got in the pantry, and sharing that knowledge, because it's just been such an integral part of my life now. For instance, there's the honey and onion kind of cough syrup, which I use.
Wait.
Hang on a
Honey and onion cough syrup.
Sounds delicious.
You know what it actually is, and my kids love it. It's just literally soaking in chopped onion and honey and draining it, and it lives in the fridge, and it's so good. And homemade gummies. Like I
like the sound of that.
So into the homemade gummies right now.
Because you can spend a fortune on buying non-homemade gummies, and then you don't really know what's in them either.
Yeah, exactly. And this is just like gelatin, honey, some thyme and some citrus and a bit of vitamin C powder, and you pop them out, and it's like they're eating, Jubes or Starbursts or something, but you've made them, and they're nourishing.
And so you mentioned this a bit already, but let's expand on this idea about like a kitchen companion.
Yes.
What are you hoping people are going to get from this kitchen companion that is new and fresh for the so many people who follow you and live and die by the Chelsea Winter cookbooks?
Well, I hope they don't die, but yeah. Well, I think that is you've touched on something there that's quite potent, and that is like I do have a very real connection with the people that use my recipes because of my social media, and my books are kind of like an extension of myself and where I am at any given time in my life. And I write them in my own voice. And so it is kind of like I'm there in the kitchen guiding you along, like empowering you and going, yeah, you got this. Like, this is awesome.
I actually wanted to ask you about that. Did your online community and like their needs and what they're interested in actually influence what went into this book?
Well, yeah, I mean, I listen. Obviously, I listen to what people are enjoying. I get told, I get response and feedback. So, yeah, as much as it is like, what am I doing in my life right now? I'm like, what do people want? What do people want? They want life to be easier. They want to go, I just want to open a book, get a recipe that I can cook and that my kids are going to eat. And I'm going to be like, I nailed that. This is what happens to me. I'm like, okay, did I have the best parenting day? Sometimes I'm like, I didn't. But at least I nourished them properly.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all I got.
Yeah. Well, and there's 8 of these books now too. And something I wondered when you were talking about these, is it almost like having like a photo album for you as well? I mean, this is going to chart your course over however many years. Do you look at them and be like, I remember who I was and where I was when I wrote that one?
Absolutely. Like I love lining all 8 of them up and looking back at the first one. Actually, I filmed the first one down there on, is it Dacre Street? That's like, yeah, that's, and I'm like, oh my God, so many years ago. And I'm like, I was just a baby. I didn't know what I kind of knew what I was doing, but compared to now where I've got some purpose and I'm like, I really feel like I know why I'm here. It's a really cool process, and my kids are in the books too, which is cool. I don't have any family portraits otherwise.
You touch on a really interesting concept, the fact that you might not be the best parent because kids don't come with manuals. It's not simple how to figure out how to parent them, but are they housed, are they warm, and are they nourished? And that's exactly what you are helping people do with this book, Nourish. And look, the good thing about eating is you can actually follow a manual like this cookbook.
Right. That's why I'm here. And I test those bad boys like till they are perfected so that, as I said, you don't have to have a fail in the kitchen. And that is the work that I'm doing. And it's such an honor.
Yeah. So that's why you're here. That's your reason for doing these kind of things now.
Well, for now, I mean, like I'm finding my way into new avenues as well. But at the heart of it all is nourishing and empowering people, and especially women.
Well, the most important question remains, and that is, where can people get a copy?
Well, as of today, it is available in bookstores absolutely everywhere.
And at the risk of quoting Lord of the Rings, meat's back on the menu, boys.
Yes, I love that movie. And I love that quote too.
Thank you so much for watching that with us. If you want to watch the next video just like it, this is the one for you.
We're so grateful to have your company on this channel, and there are so many more incredible stories. So make sure you like and subscribe right here.